Erika Kirk is the Babe Ruth of fraud. I don't think there is a single, solitary, actual scintilla of any truth to her. I don't think she exists. I think she is invisible. I think she is invisible the way air is invisible, and it makes a balloon a balloon. It's the soul of her, whatever this life force is, it doesn't exist. It just fills out the sock puppet that she wants to be that day, the performative act, the style, what she wants to be, the bereaved wife, the chanteuse wannabe, the reluctant pageant winner, the beauteous, sexy Christian mom leader. You give it, it's a role. It's a role. It is a performative role of a lifetime. And the most important part is that there is no Erika Franz. It doesn't exist. There's the Charlie Kirk's wife. There's the mother, I think. I mean, of course there is, but we don't know. Excuse me. And I have been fascinated, not only about people who have had different lives and different perspectives, but the idea of the chameleon, the idea of somebody who lurks about. As a kid, I loved camouflage. I loved, the archer fish, and I loved the moth that blends into the tree, and also how some animals will share, like the king snake and the coral snake and the monarch and the viceroy, and how they look alike but they're not, and how they share. I love deception, and I love how it's an element of kind of like an art form. Well, it is an art form. She is like nothing you've ever seen, and she would literally have to go back and remove everything that she's ever done. Because when you see her now, and you see what she's doing in terms of the performance, the executed kabuki theater of her world, you don't really understand it until you see it now. I've given you a lens. I've given you a prism. I've given you something to look through. Remember when sometimes you get your glasses checked. Is it better like this, or is it better like this? Is it better like this? Can you see this? The E and all that. Snellen chart. Remember that? With her, now that we have these new lenses, it's like, oh my God, I never saw this before. I saw it, but I didn't recognize it. I thought she was kind of full of it. But now that I understand this, like, oh my God. It's like Usual Suspects or whatever it's called, or was it the Kaiser Soze? When he looks back, he said, wait a minute, if I got the right movie. In any event, I don't even know. But now that we know about her, looking back at prior performances, it makes the grift and the con and the work and the deception seem all the more incredible. I almost said amazing, but people use the word amazing too much. It's incredible. So who is she? And why doesn't she stop? And why doesn't somebody stop her, especially from TPUSA? She's going to bring this whole thing down. I mean, this thing cannot possibly. There can be no TPUSA. There can't be. And she doesn't know this. She doesn't know this. And I love the fact of who she is. Somebody used the term, the factory setting of her, the default mechanism, the default, operating system. What is she set to? The pre-recorded, pre-adjusted factory setting, as somebody said. What is it? How does this work? How does this work? What are the default mechanisms? And the factory setting, in essence, of a soul reveals itself not in the usual, the grand orchestrated, deception version. It's not through lawyers and official statements, but in the reflexive kind of gut level dishonesty that emerges when the truth is merely an inconvenience, when there is no truth, when her Pavlovian obeisance, this patellar reflex, like with the knee, that's her thing. Marshall McLuhan said one time, and I use this, I remind people all the time, he says, little lies are very hard to keep secret, but big lies are easy because of their and our incredulity. When the story is nuts, it's like, what? Or when the horrors are so terrible, you don't want to know about them. That's some of the problems with trafficking. That's one of the reasons why some of the times it's so hidden, because we don't want to understand what happened. But with Erika Kirk, her factory setting, what's her default mechanism? What is her base system? How is that? It's like when you clean a phone and you go back to the original settings. What is it? What is Erika Kirk the default? She sat before a national audience that they once on CBS, not some little tiny kind of a little moment of her sitting in her bedroom and some social media, interview or podcast, but pretty serious in this moderated town hall with Barry Weiss, broadcast ostensibly to millions, and not only that, plus this phalanx, this coterie, this retinue, so to speak, of Fox News, every Fox News show. I mean, she did them all. And she chose to manufacture out of thin air this hagiography, this biography, this storyline. It's like in Pulp Fiction. It was at Roth. He was going back. Tim Roth. He was reviewing his lines about his undercover persona. She created this myth of herself. And then, almost immediately, because she had so much hubris and so much, I have a piece of something here, pardon me. She threw so much into the story. Once the internet heard it, it dismantled it in no time. In less than an afternoon. I mean, it was over. And when she was asked about her life, before Charlie Kirk, she didn't just pivot. She basically erased it or just wiped its slate clean. Like basically, reformat the disc. She just recreates it. There is no Erika Kirk or Franz. There is none. There's this role. The only time you get to see her is when you catch her at the right performance. And you can pick the Erika you like. There is no Erika. Which one do you like? In a weird way, if I had to pick from what I've seen, from little I know, I think it was when she was starting off and she did these sizzle reels and she was with her boyfriends there, which she swore she never had. The lies, you can't even keep track. You can't keep track. You can't keep track, and neither can she, because they're not lies to her. But anyway, but I kind of like this. She was honest. She was with her boyfriend. She seemed kind of, just normal. Give me somebody who's real. She had boyfriends. So what? She drank. So what? So she fooled around a little bit. So what? Come on. This is what year is it? What do you want? But then she thought, no. I think the virginal wife, trad wife. I think I'm going to go with that. And then she just said, "Oh no, you can't. No. Nobody told her. Erika, you can't do that. Why? Because, no, honey, you can't do this. They know who you are. You can't just do this. What do you mean I can't do this? You can't say all of a sudden, I was something when we know who you were before. Well, there's no appreciation for consequence. I mean, she presented a narrative of a woman who just went straight from her parents' home, I guess, in ensconced in that to, what would you say, directly into the embrace and the arms of TPUSA and Charlie and the founder, this trad wife, archetype, this traditional wife archetype, this archetypical, prototypical, abecedarian, fundamental traditional wife who never dated, never drank, and also viewed with much derision the dating lives of others as a bizarre, some kind of weird foreign ritual. Remember that one? The way she would use the weird phraseology, and when they went to have the drinks, I don't want to do the drinks. It's like this is foreign. I'm supposed to go out with the drinks of the woman, and no, I don't want to stay home. I want to read the Bible. And what this accent is that I'm doing, I have no idea. But that's what I feel. It's like she's an accent, like she's Latka Gravis. She's from another country, and you go, I don't understand your, like the caveman, your weird ways. I mean, it was this idea of this, purportedly and performatively, this beautiful polished image, designed to make, I guess, to maybe assuage or to calm evangelical donors, to make them go for their checkbooks, to solidify and cement her standing as the antithesis of those horrible, cultures where she was the paramour or the lover or whatever of the boss. So she publicly decries that, hates that, and she's trying to tell people, I'm not like that, even though I might be. But you see, the internet doesn't forget anything. You can't beat it. The internet is perfect. It keeps the receipts. It doesn't just, contradict her. It exposes this trail of a pathology and a pathological affect and a pathological expression that needs to lie about things for no reason. That would have meant absolutely nothing if she had admitted it. That would have cost her nothing had she admitted to it. That nobody cares. It's only interesting when you lie about something. And the smaller the lie, the more offended people are by asking yourself, why would you lie about that? And within hours, this permanent archive that never forgets, never forgives, never ever loses. This digital archive coughed up reality after reality, public photos with multiple ex-boyfriends, engagement photos with another man, so they say. A 2014 audition reel or sizzle for The American Race, where you saw this vibrant, energetic, forceful Erika Franz looking into the camera, right at you, and declaring sex sells, babe, or something like that. What a departure from the woman who publicly said, you don't understand. Okay, fine. And this wasn't, by the way, some leak scandal. This was her own public history. These are her own words. Sitting in plain sight, waiting for some independent or some industrial search person to do, by the way, the most minimalistic and the most surface level of searches, to reveal this chasm, this void, the gap between the brand and the person, between that which is alleged and reality. Now, this is not morality policing. This is not some kind of an Iranian. I'm not going to pull out of a van and throw some woman in the back of a huska because she's not wearing a veil or whatever the particular story is. That's not it. We are not morality vigilantes here, and this is not a refusal to allow for human growth. None of this is. What we are saying is that people love when you have a story. It doesn't matter. We live in such a debauched, concupiscent society that anything you've done, whether it's drugs or sex or this, in fact, it makes your story and it makes your redemption even better. We forgive. We embrace, the old prodigal son notion of it. This archetypical prodigal son, the one who turned their life around. Franklin Graham. It makes the conversion even better. Remember him? And we celebrate those people who say, I was a different person, I was a bad person, maybe I was, whatever, but at 25, I'm different than what I am at 30 or 35. Had Erika simply said, look, I'm not even going to talk about my life. I'm normal. I partied, I dated, I this and that. And then later I found my faith, and I have a frame of reference which I can relate to you because I was there myself. It makes the story better. It makes her more appealing. It makes her more relatable to somebody who says, well, what do you know about living a debauched and frenetic life? A harridan, a meretrix, this slattern, this grimalkin, this courtesan. You don't know about being a trollop. Well, maybe I do. Really? Makes her story, I'm not saying she's a trollop, but I'm saying it makes it more palatable, more believable. And she would have been more relatable, more human, more likely to engage, to proselytize, if you will, new people. And also would make her probably more successful in fundraising because it's a better story. People love this. People love the idea of redemption. Frank Abagnale, who was Catch Me If You Can, he talks about how he was a fraud. Michael Franzese, who the born-again mobster, famous, the scion, the dauphin of Sonny Franzese. And he was a mobster. He was a made mobster. Whether he was a hitman, I don't know. But whether he got his button the old-fashioned way, we don't know. But the point is, it makes it interesting. And if he can convert, I can too. That's the way that works. Now, instead of these people, they chose a life that is so ridiculous and actually really a lie, so easily disprovable, so easily verifiable. You wonder, what are you thinking? What possibly could you be thinking? Why in the name of God would you ever do this? And the reason for it is suggests something far deeper, far more indicative of a pathology. When you run a $500 million or $1 billion organization, built on values, your credibility is your only currency, is the only thing you have. So by lying about the insignificant, things that don't even matter, issues that would have been easily, again, forgivable, but would ironically make you more approachable, she's basically signaled to the world that she can't be trusted with anything. And if you're going to lie about the insignificant, you're going to lie about the significant. Because the lie formula means nothing if it gets in the way of the narrative. If it gets in the way of the storyline you're presenting. Now, this kind of a weird patellar or reflexive dishonesty is precisely why the movement is currently seeing this incredible shift, not a glacier shift, but this transformational transmogrification, this incredible move to figures such as Candace Owens, who, by the way, possesses the one quality that the Kirks, or as folks seem to lack, the courage to be authentic even when it's messy. Candace Owens doesn't operate from some factory setting, as we say, or some default mechanism. It doesn't work like that. She doesn't work from the basis of some basic setting where that provides and facilitates convenient deception. She stands in her truth, proud of it, which is why her audience remains fiercely loyal, while the Kirk brand, actually not the Charlie, but the Erika Kirk brand, if you can call it that, begins to feel like a fool. Like the whole thing is some hollow, over-polished, overproduced, over-glammed, so to speak, some stage set, some Potemkin village. People feel betrayed. And while Erika, sobs on the stage to high school minors about personal grief and all this, all the while refusing to issue a single correction, a single I misspoke, a single let me clarify the record, or my bad, or, just a redaction. Anything regarding her televised fabrications, lies, mendacities, and prevarications. You see, the public is beginning to really realize that this pure as a driven snow image was never about holiness or anything even remotely. It was about the grift. It was about the con. If you can't tell the truth about some, 10, 15-year-old reality TV audition, some sizzle reel. There's no way you're going to be able to be trusted to lead a national movement for the soul of the country. It's no way. No way. And what's interesting to know is the infrastructure of the big lie, the infrastructure, the foundation of the mendacity is all failing because the small lies, the little lies, the interstitial lies, the unnecessary little bits of mendacity, they've rotted the foundation. They're far more destructive. We're witnessing a moment where this burnished, polished, manufactured conservative of TPUSA, of the elite, which is so phony, so ersatz, so synthetic. I mean, all of them. And it's not, to be fair, it's not just Erika. It's these other folks, Tyler, this and Cabot, this. There is nothing. Is anybody telling the truth? The whole thing was just contrived. Let's pretend that it's like an SCTV, like an improv ensemble. This so-called TPUSA elite is being bypassed by an audience that craves and demands the raw, unvarnished, warts and all, intellectual honesty of a leader like Candace Owens. She doesn't need any kind of a default setting. She doesn't need to come with, the factory setting, as somebody calls it. She doesn't need that. She doesn't need it because she doesn't fear her own history. She embraces it. She lies about nothing. She understands that the American people will forgive a past, will applaud it, but they will never, ever, 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 ever forgive a fraud. And Erika Kirk had the opportunity to be a relatable voice for a generation of women who found their way to traditional values, to God, to the Bible, to Christianity, through trial and error, emphasis on error. And instead, what she did was she chose and still chooses to play a character. And the character is now being canceled by reality. And when the receipts, I keep using that term, but everybody keeps saying that when the receipts came out, when the evidence was adduced, when it was averred, when it was presented, showing her, remember when she was ordering cocktails in that summer house? Who cares? But the point is she said she wasn't drinking. Or she filmed the reality TV auditions with former fiancés, or there was no humility. There's no apology. No, listen, I'm human. I'm a work in progress. I know. I'm like you. Nothing. Dead silence. Dead silence and the continuation of the performance, of the grift, of the kabuki dance. This is the death knell. This is the death knell. This is the end, the death rattle of a brand. Not the existence of ex-boyfriends or the drinks or the cocktails, but the cowardice. The cowardice required to pretend they never existed and to treat you like you're an idiot. To treat you like you'll never figure it out, or to treat you like you're so unimportant. Who cares whether we're lying to you? It doesn't matter. I'm Erika Kirk. You got it? You. That's what she's saying. I don't care about you. This is a woman who's a multimillionaire. She's talking about GoFundMe's. I mean, the stories, and I get sick thinking about how she portrays this. I'm just a regular gal. Sandbagging is one thing. Remember Sam Ervin during the Watergate hearings? I'm just a country lawyer. Okay, all right. And I'm Eleanor Roosevelt. Nice to meet you. But what we're talking about with Erika, it tells us that for the Kirk empire, or what used to be it, the image of the gospel is apparently more important to her than the truth, than the foundation of the gospel. And the donors and the followers and those who've been misled deserve far better, far more than a scripted facade, than this ersatz mask that she's wearing. And by the way, if we take the mask away, there's nothing under the mask. There's nothing there. That's what I'm telling you. It's like air in a balloon. It gives form to the balloon, but it's nothing there. Demand more from those people who claim to present your values. This is what you can do. Stop settling for this polished, these default settings, whatever you want to call it, of career lobbyists, and start supporting voices. Voices that prioritize the truth over the brand. Share this post. Join this. Join the conversation. Join the discussion on why authenticity is the only way forward for the movement, for your movement. And that's why Candace is going to reign and is reigning superior. It's that simple. This is one of the greatest examples, the greatest studies of human nature and human behavior I have ever seen. It is phenomenal. I have never seen anything. I keep using the example, pretty brutal, but it's when the Hillside Strangler, when Kenneth Bianchi, they caught him, they found him out. He was feigning being in a hypnotic trance when he was asking to hold something, when apparently you can't do this. It's when you got that gotcha moment. And then once you realize it, you go back and watch everything else that you've seen, and you realize, my God, was there anything real? Was it ever real? It's that great Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers. Was it ever real? Did you ever tell me the truth? Did you ever tell me the truth? Erika, was it all a joke? Was there ever a moment between the dabbing of the eyes and the looking up and this performative, almost like this routine? You routinized the lie. And people still, I think, are resistant to accept it because they can't believe they were taken in. Let me thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for following me. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for hitting that little bell to be notified of live streams and new videos. And thank you for lending your expertise and your unique perspective on one of the most fascinating stories I've ever had the honor and the privilege and the opportunity to dissect. It's like if you're into at all kind of a armchair and post Freudian reviews. She is it. She is such a piece of work. She is so complicated. She is a labyrinth of bullshit. It's just, see what I mean? All right, my friends, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you so much for all of this. Thank you so much for everything. And now, by the way, I put some questions in the comment section. Please go. Please go. And now, if you wouldn't, you could, my friends, comment as you see fit.